So, with that said, here we go with our next introduction. And so, sorry about that. All right, so this one's Department of Defense Skill Bridge Employer Best Practices. Oh, all right. So John, who we're getting ready to come, John Saban, who's getting ready to come, he's from the city of Opelika, and he's going to talk about how they deal with military and bringing military into the city of Opelika and so forth and so on, which obviously is probably going to benefit all you guys because y'all live right here anyway. So with that said, John, you want to come up and it's all yours. Give John a hand.
Welcome to the first session after lunch, otherwise known as nap time. I'm trying to keep you awake. I'm not talking about skills bridge. I'm actually going to share about our CSP program. So Eddie's such a hard act to follow. I could just replay his presentation. But what I thought I'd do is, as Eddie mentioned, the city of Opelika, when we found out that there was a opportunity to recruit transitioning service members out of Fort Benning to come to the city and work for our companies, we thought it was a no-brainer. So we went over there and started just asking questions. How could we partner with these service members? How could we help them find a career after their service time was up? And and it was all the credit goes to Eddie. You know, when I started saying, well, how do I get my companies in Opelika to come over here and become a CSP? And Eddie said, well, wait a minute. Why don't you just think about the city being the CSP? And that way you're an umbrella. You don't have to. Your companies don't have to go through all this red tape and the application process and approval with the DoD. And the light bulb just went off, and I went back to our leadership in the city, Mayor Fuller, and we got the green light to pursue it. And so with Eddie and his team's help, we became the first city in the nation, I believe, to be a CSP. So what that allows us to do, before I dive in, I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of our journey and where we're at right now. First, I kind of want to just share a little bit about what I do for the city and how that plays into this. I'm the project manager for our economic development office. So wear a lot of hats. We're a small department. One of the hats I wear is becoming bigger and bigger all the time is workforce development. And so when I'm out recruiting, helping recruit companies to come to Opelika, and also to help our existing companies grow and expand, all that means new jobs. And we've got to have the skilled workforce for them to be able to fulfill those jobs. And so the resource that we have at Fort Benning is just a tremendous asset for us. So, and I'll tell you, my military experience, I was one of those people that didn't raise my hand until you were asked if you were a child of a military member. I got a lot of military in my family. I've got both my grandfathers served, one in World War I. I'm not that old, but he served in World War I. My other grandfather in World War II as a Marine. My dad in the Air Force during Vietnam, and then my son who served in Afghanistan. And my only military experience is when my son was doing his weapons training before he got deployed. He was in Fort Riley, Kansas with some of his buddies. So I flew out there to kind of spend a weekend with them before they left. And so I spent the whole day on Saturday in that little town in Kansas, giving them a historic tour of all the bars and pubs in the community. And there's a lot of stories that go along with that trip, but that does explain my one and only tattoo. Spending that time with those guys before they went off and experience what they did was it was a real eye-opener for me as well as hearing my father and my grandfather's stories. So the Opelika CSP. The first thing that after Eddie said this is what you should do, it took about 6 months just to learn all the acronyms and go through the application process. And then I started reaching out to our companies and asking them, would this be something they'd be interested in? And I think it was mentioned that, this is a foreign concept to a lot of companies. And one of the surprises were that when I asked them, I said, how would you like to have a entry level or an employee to come on board for the first 120 days and it doesn't cost you? As a matter of fact, you're not allowed to pay them, they're active duty. And the local folks said, well, that sounds pretty great. But when they kicked it upstairs to the corporate folks, legal teams got involved. How in the world can we have an unpaid employee? That's violations of all kinds of labor laws. And so that was a bit of a hurdle for us, but we finally started getting over that. And so we got approved by the DOT this past August. So we took us about a year and a half. COVID slowed the process down a good bit for us. So we're up and running. We've actually got our first soldier that is already signed a letter of intent to go to work in next month with one of our local companies. We're really excited about that. We're going to be celebrating it. And then right now I'm getting 3 to 5 soldiers a week calling me. And so what we did with the Opelika program, creating that umbrella, it allowed us not to go to our individual companies and convince them to form a CSP or an internship that we could package so that something specific that soldiers could go down the laundry list and say, oh, I select that one. It really allows the soldiers to call us and say, this is what I'm interested in. This is my skill set. And so this is the kind of career I want to have. Or this is what I did in the military, but I really have always desired to do this. Or I'm an entrepreneur. I want to start a coffee shop or something, landscaping business. And so what it allows us to do is get to know that service member really well and what their dream is for their life after their active duty, and then go match them up with a company in our city, and form that internship so that they can plug in and get start building a relationship with that company and start building their career. So it's really great when I tell soldiers that the response I get. They're like, you're kidding. You want to know what I want, and you want to know what I dream about. And so we're really excited about the response we're getting, and I think we're going to see a lot of good things happen. In Opelika, we call our program the CPI program. It's a CSP, but we call it the Career Paths Internships program. And so that allows all that flexibility. We also work, with the CSP program, but we also work with all kinds of veterans organizations, still serving veterans. Charles is here somewhere. Charlie, there he is. And Heroes Make America, we work with them as well. And in Opelika, we decided a long time ago that we wanted to be a veteran-friendly community. And so the CSP program is our #1 vehicle for making sure that we get that word out and we help create opportunities. But we also want to make sure that, we want them to find a good career. But we know that with them, they bring spouses, they bring their kids, they bring their hobbies, their areas of interest. So we worked with some of our other community partners to put together what we call Vets Choose Opelika incentive program. So that's something where if we, through one of our groups that we work with, and we work with a veteran and they decide, yeah, we want to relocate to Opelika and start a career, start the next chapter in our lives, then we help them with a down payment on their house. When they purchase a home in Opelika, we help them with some utility hookups. We have a beautiful Sportsplex Aquatic Center. I don't know if anyone here has ever been to it before. It's got pickleball, 12 more pickleball courts, which are really great. But it's a beautiful facility, so we get the whole family a membership for a year to our Sportsplex Aquatic Center. So because we want them to not only just move here, buy a home, and start a career, but we want them to get plugged into our community. We want them to get to know the rest of the folks that live in Opelika. We want them to know why Opelika is a great place to live. We also want them to get engaged with our civic clubs, our churches, our schools. So we feel that's a real important aspect of what we do in helping our veterans make the transition. The other thing that we look at, we try to be really close, is that when they are pre-COVID, we were doing bus tours in the city. So we'd have once a quarter, we'd have as many veterans as they wanted to sign up. We had 20, 30, 40. We'd bring them all over. We'd have tour buses, and we would take them around to our companies. We'd have company tours that they could take. And if they brought their spouses, and they could bring their kids as well, we would, while the service member was looking, touring companies, we would take the spouses and the kids, and we'd set up a school tour. Or we'd match them up with a realtor if they wanted to look at homes and neighborhoods. So we wanted to, again, take that holistic approach. And then we bring them all back together midday, take them lunch. They'd have lunch with the mayor. The mayor tells some of his great jokes. And just let them know that we value the service to our country, and we value what they can bring to our community. So it's really it's an evolving program that we're doing, that we're working on. We're hoping to expand our staff so that we've got more man hours that we can devote to this. it's that important to us. And and again, I can't emphasize enough the value that we have in Eddie and his team at Fort Benning. And then we hope to reach out to some other branches as well and see what kind of programs are available there once we make sure we get a good understanding of how we can best serve our veterans and transitioning service members. So that's pretty much it. In a nutshell, again, the CSP program, Eddie did a great job of explaining it, but I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have about Opelika's program or in general.
So for Opelika program, kind of like is it just for transitioning service members, or is it for veterans who have already served and already exited the service?
The CSP program is for the transitioning service members from Fort Benning.
Okay.
However, if there's a veteran in another community that reaches out to us and they want us to help them arrange an internship or even a direct hire, I do direct hires as well. Charlie sends me resumes all the time. Anna sends me resumes. We certainly try to match those up with opportunities as well. Yes, sir.
John, are there any other cities like Opelika that's doing this for those transitioning service members?
To my knowledge right now, I know Auburn is pursuing it. Amy Brabham is some of my counterpart in the city of Auburn, and so they're pursuing that. And I think it's once word continues to get out amongst the economic development community, where other folks that I was at a conference last week, and Governor Ivey addressed us at one of our lunches, and she said economic development is workforce development, and that you can't do one without the other. So I think as cities hear about this, they'll definitely get on board. Any other questions? I know I went really fast, but and if there's any resources that you think that would help our program, please reach out to me. We would love to fold them in to what we're already doing. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.